Good morning. And the recording is in progress, I have been told by voices from on high. Welcome to Wellspring. My name is Jean Geringer. I'm part of your Sunday, March 2nd, 2025 service team. We now have a few announcements. Are we okay? Early Birds meets Sunday mornings at 9:30 via Zoom. Link is in the weekly email and on the website. Our speaker is today good old Dr. Edward right here. On the 9th, we have Reverend Sandy. On the 16th, we have Donna Stryker. And the 23rd, we have Reverend Kamatara. And on the 30th, we are going to show a video about how we are living in a simulation. Proof that everything is a simulation. Is this really? Well, we're experiencing something right now. So maybe the better question is exactly what is reality? Could everything we see, everything we experience, everything that exists in our entire universe be artificial? That brings us to our Thursday evening group, which discusses things like this while we watch wonderful segments from the Gaia TV network. And we definitely get into that type of discussions. We meet at 7 o'clock at the social hall or on Zoom. And you can get the coordinates from either Cleona or Edward. I do attend those groups one way or another, and they are very intellectually stimulating. Very, very nice. The labyrinth is slowly coming along. Thank you for those who have contributed rocks. Please help by finding and bringing more rocks to line the pathway. Should be about 6 inches in diameter. We're going to collect them in the pergola until it's time to construct the labyrinth. It sure is a rocky road. And I believe there is a sign-up sheet or of some type in the social hall where we're encouraging everybody to go take a look at the labyrinths that are around town and walk them, and then sign up.
Do the next slide.
Oh, all right, we are already there. You're invited to walk these to get a feel for what the labyrinths can do. So there's the Franciscan Retreat in Mesilla Park, and the University Methodist Church on Locust, First Christian Church, El Paseo, and Unitarian Universalist Church on Solano. There's a yellow handout on the social tables in the hall for you to put your vote on what we want to do here. Our March outing is Sunday, March 16th at 3 p.m. We are walking the labyrinth, oh, very good, at the First Christian Church on 1809 El Paseo. Following the work, we're going to go to Dion's for supper. The Dion's on El Paseo, because there are two. Okay. March, April, Science of Mind magazine is available on the shelf in the bookstore. Price is $6 for the double issue. Please pay Judy, number 1. Our prayer team remains ready to serve and support you. You may submit a request via our webpage or give it to Edward. Our prayer team meets virtually on Tuesday afternoons at 4:15 to pray with you. You may consider sitting in your own quiet space during this time. We know we are one in spirit, and the energy of prayer knows no limits. The invocation for today. Through Source, we purposely create this sacred space here and now in our Wellspring home. We ask that any energies present which are not beneficial be modified by Spirit, making them beneficial for all and everything, seen or unseen, in or entering this area. We seal this space in all directions, and we ask for the presence of the divine in whichever form or forms it desires to take for this gathering, whether we are here in person or remotely. May Source, however each of us know it, however each of us call it, come to each of us and through us to all whom we encounter, and from them to all who they encounter, onward, and so to the whole world. And in this wave of divine energy, we each are lighted love, helping ignite that light in all and everything. Please stand if you are ready for our song of joy.
We all remember this one, right? Pardon my... I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggles, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggles and no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I am only in the Spirit. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only for God. Thanks, Judy.
I was told very strongly, more than once in elementary school, by the nuns that God did not give me a singing voice and to keep it quiet. Hence, you see me appreciate you all, but keep that other part to myself. It sounds more like a frog on a very bad day. So thank you. So let's together read our vision, mission, and affirmation. Our vision is to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission, to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. Our affirmation. With every breath, I align with the boundless energy of renewal and growth. I trust the unfolding of divine order, knowing that new opportunities and blessings spring forth with ease. I plant seeds of intention and watch them blossom to a life of abundance and purpose. And I see our special music is by our very own Judy One.
Piano mic is on me right now. Edward, why don't you make use of the piano? I'm not very good in front of people playing piano. But I figure you guys are so loving, I can make mistakes. That's true. They're no mistakes, they're just happy dissonance. This is called Twilight in the Desert.
Very nice. I think the piano was so happy to be of service again and to show its voice. Thank you, Judy. I have selected two different readings for today, not knowing which was better. So I have just dowsed on which one to do. So the readings are about keeping our center in chaotic times. We have all heard the saying, serenity isn't freedom from the storm, but peace within the storm. And let's repeat that. It's well worth putting into our conscious and subconscious. Seeing a lot of nods, people need that. Serenity isn't freedom from the storm, but peace amid the storm. I have that framed in my home, and I have to tell you all, it took me many, many, many years to find that space. And now I'm going to read to you from a lovely little book called The Still Voice. I don't know if any of you have seen it or heard of it. There is a White Eagle series. It's many, many years old. I don't know how old, but it's lovely. And the segment I'm going to read to you is about your power to help the world. The greatest service you can render to mankind is to work truly and earnestly on the inner plane, to radiate love and establish on the physical plane of life the thought, the ideal, the feeling of brotherhood. I think often of the Shining Star Brotherhood, the brotherhood of the light. They know no darkness, doubt, or fear. They know that all is moving forward in ultimate brotherhood. Never waver in your belief that all is working together for the good of humanity. In the measure that you hold fast to this truth, so will you increase your power to help the world and all humanity. Keep on keeping on, although the hill seems unsurmountable, when you have to turn a corner and you cannot see the summit. Keep on persevering with your climb, knowing that the summit of that mountain is in the light of the sun, and in due time, all people will reach it. Preserve in your heart the strength of the Spirit of Christ. Give forth good thought, love thought. Humanity will absorb the light that you send forth. Instead of absorbing the dark and destructive forces, they absorb the light, the constructive, the godlike, the Christ-like qualities of life. Meditate on the still white flame in the heart of the star, which will lead you to the temple of the sun, where they dwell. The shining Christ star circle, who hold the earth and all her people in their care. You too, your spirit, becomes part of this light of the sun. You are not separate from them or from any of God's creation. Say to yourself, I am a flame in the heart of the sun. I am in the heart of the sun. And now we will bring up Dr. Edward for his talk.
Well, good morning. Nice to see you all here. And good morning to those of you on Zoom. Appreciate it. It was interesting. I'd forgotten February, the Science of Mind was something about being in the flow when I chose my topic. And my topic is, I'm calling it the joy of non-resistance. And I think a lot of times we typically maybe think of Gandhi as the poster person for non-resistance. Actually, I think he was the poster person for nonviolent resistance. He was the leader of the nonviolent resistance movement in India's fight for independence from the British. His philosophy of nonviolence inspired movements for civil rights and social change throughout the world. And we know other inspired leaders, or other leaders were inspired by his work, such as Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, and the Dalai Lama. Gandhi said that if a man abused him, it would never do for him to return the abuse. An evil returned by another evil only succeeded in multiplying it instead of leading to its reduction. It was a universal law, he said, that violence could never be quenched by superior violence, but could only be quenched by non-violence. A couple of well-known quotes from Gandhi. You've heard this one, I'm sure. Be the change that you want to see in the world. And another one, which is maybe not as common, is freedom is not worth having if it does not include the freedom to make mistakes. And I want to kind of say that second one fits right in with what we talk about as spiritual growth. There are no mistakes, right? And there's no benevolent or other kind of God that's up there that's saying, no, you can't do that. You know, you can't do something really stupid. He's saying, bless you, my child, do whatever you want, and I'll be here to help you understand the lesson you just learned. It's one out of love. You know, there's also that, why did God let that happen, right? Well, God isn't there to prevent you from exercising free choice. It goes for me as well as for the rest of the world. So we all get to make mistakes, and that's part of being. So I want to read a little bit from Eckhart Tolle in his book, The Power of Now. He says, non-resistance doesn't necessarily mean doing nothing. All it means is that any doing becomes non-reactive. Remember the deep wisdom underlying the practice of the Eastern martial arts? Don't resist the opponent's force. Yield to overcome. Having said that, doing nothing when you are in a state of intense presence is a very powerful transformer and healer of situations and people. In Taoism, there is a term called Wu Wei, which is usually translated as actionless activity, or sitting quietly doing nothing. In ancient China, this was regarded as one of the highest achievements or virtues. It is radically different from inactivity in the ordinary state of consciousness, or rather unconsciousness, which stems from fear, inertia, or indecision. The real doing nothing implies inner non-resistance and intense alertness. The ego believes that in your resistance lies your strength, whereas in truth, resistance cuts you off from being, the only place of true power. And that's being with a capital B, of course. Resistance is weakness and fear masquerading as strength. What the ego sees as weakness is your being in its purity, innocence, and power. What it sees as strength, talking about the ego, what it sees as strength is weakness. So the ego exists in a continuous resistance mode and plays counterfeit roles to cover up your weakness, when in truth it is your power. Until there is surrender, unconscious role-playing constitutes a large part of human interaction. In surrender, you no longer need ego defenses and false masks. You become very simple, very real. The ego says, that's dangerous. You'll get hurt. You'll become vulnerable. What the ego doesn't know, of course, is that only through the letting go of resistance, through becoming vulnerable, can you discover your true and essential invulnerability. Now we've heard the expression, what you resist persists. And this or some variety of it has been quoted by any number of folks. It possibly originated in Carl Jung. But I say the converse of this statement is useful as well. What persists, you are resisting. Is there something in your life that you would rather not have or be involved with? Perhaps upon deep examination and contemplation, it is pointing to something you are resisting or pushing against. Only you know the answer to this. However, I affirm that you do know. You have intimate knowledge and understanding of your personalities and so forth. And if you think you don't know, just pretend that you do know and take a wild guess without your filtering. What is the first thing that comes to mind? So here are some key aspects of non-resistance from a spiritual perspective. Accepting situations as they are, even if they are difficult, without trying to force change or resist the current reality. Instead of reacting to a situation, you can accept what has happened and find a way to live with it. And of course, that brings me up to one of my favorite books by Byron Katie, her book, Loving What Is, and it's called The Work. And just to let you know, chapter 1 has a few basic principles. The first principle is noticing when your thoughts argue with reality. Do your thoughts ever argue with reality? That's where the "it should be different," the shouldness comes from, right? Okay. So that's not a bad book to read. And there's a lot of exercises in it to help you get through some of the issues that it brings up for you. So earlier this week, I was reading a book by Tony Hillerman. And you all know who he is. He talks about the Native Americans in northwestern New Mexico and Utah, Arizona, the four corner areas. And so he was driving along, and he always gets nature into his books. And he says that there was a rain cloud out in the distance, and it looked like it might actually be productive. And so he said the Hopis held a rain dance Sunday, calling on the clouds, their ancestors, to restore the water blessing to the land. Perhaps the Kachinas had listened to their Hopi children. Perhaps not. It was not a Navajo concept, this idea of adjusting nature to human needs. The Navajo adjusted himself to remain in harmony with the universe. When nature withheld the rain, the Navajo sought the pattern of this phenomena, as he sought the pattern of all things, to find its beauty and live harmony in it. Now that was pretty interesting. Talk about acceptance. Another aspect of non-resistance from a spiritual perspective is mindfulness. Paying close attention to the present moment without judgment. Allowing thoughts and emotions to rise and pass without getting caught up in them. Notice negative thoughts and consciously choose to release them without dwelling on them. And we've talked about being the observer of your thoughts rather than, jumping in the hole with them. The flow state, moving with a natural flow of life, not resisting challenges, but finding ways to adapt and navigate them gracefully. Like the Navajo above. And I say, don't forget you are the conductor of your life. Every situation you find yourself in is created or attracted by you for your growth, with this full knowledge and understanding that you can handle it. You have arrived at this instant in your life fully equipped with all the required tools to deal with it and fully supported by God, the divine or spirit, or however you prefer to call it. Another aspect cultivating our inner peace, cultivating a sense of inner calm by letting go of struggle and striving for control, letting go of striving for control. You know, Reverend Kamatara talks about what she calls facile manipulating her life. Just stop it. So how might these concepts be applied in facing challenges? Instead of panicking or getting overwhelmed by a difficult situation, acknowledge it, and choose to respond calmly and constructively. Probably not the ready, fire, aim reactionary approach that we frequently take. Responding to others with compassion. Not reacting defensively to others' actions or words. Instead, trying to understand their perspective and respond with kindness. If you find yourself triggered by someone or something, set the reaction aside for later, when you can calmly examine where this fits into your belief system. So maybe you need to examine and perhaps change your BS. That's short for belief system. And it's important to note that non-resistance does not mean passivity. While non-resistance encourages acceptance, it doesn't mean being active in the face of injustice. It can still involve taking positive actions while maintaining a peaceful mindset. The concept of non-resistance may need to be adapted depending on the situation, as there may be times when assertive action is required. And I had to look this up, but part of this is a very favorite expression of mine recently, and this is by Seng Stan, who's a Sin Ming, was the third Chinese patriarch of Zen. The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisguised. Make the smallest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. If you wish to see the truth, then hold no opinion for or against. The struggle of what one likes and what one dislikes is the disease of the mind. Now, I just might say that some of this may apply to what's going on in our country and how we respond to what we see out there. So what's going on energetically when you resist? So I like to think we all operate from an energy budget, if you will. So essentially you're in a relationship, whatever you're resisting. And you're continually feeding the thing or the person some of this energy from your energy budget. You could say you're feeding the thought form with your precious lifeblood, your energy. Energy you could use for better activities, if you think about it. Freeing up that energy will allow you to be more creative, more loving, more joyful, more giving, and more compassionate. I think we've all experienced ourselves when we were in a bad mood, had low energy. Everything seemed to be not going our way. But when we're bubbly and full of energy, the little irritations of daily life just don't seem to matter as much. And I'm going to make a presumption here, but I believe it is true. We are all light workers. Our job is to support the evolution of humankind and this planet and the cosmos by being channels of light or energy. We are being called to rise above the conflicts throughout the world and hold the high watch without conditions or preference. As we contribute our positivity to the collective consciousness, we make it easier for others to see their own potentiality. We are helping to thin the veil between them and the light. By lifting the collective consciousness, we're also raising the bar for government and judicial leaders throughout the world, encouraging them to lead from their higher consciousness rather than from their egos. As we hold ourselves in a state of non-resistance, we observe that there are situations that may not appear to be of God. However, we acknowledge and affirm that a divine plan is unfolding in the right and perfect manner and time. We know this to be true, and so it is. So let's just take this to prayer. And let us just sit in the space of non-resistance. Maybe there's something that came up as I was speaking or reading that triggered something within you. That's okay. Just set that aside. As we know from the invocation that started this service, this is a space where God shows up. And you being here is a piece and a part of that energy structure. Not only is God within you, but you are within God. And we have created this wonderful environment called Wellspring. Every Sunday we participate in lifting this little corner of Las Cruces, elevating the consciousness of ourselves. We cannot leave without having been touched in some way and without touching others. As we have given from our heart has opened. And this stays with us throughout the week. All we have to do is touch into this moment, this feeling that we're having right now. You can take it with you, no matter where you are. So set the intention to remember to touch into your divinity various moments throughout the week. Maybe as a light changes red, from red to green, as someone cuts you off in traffic, touch into that divinity. Know that there is no need to resist. What we perceive is occurring around us. We know there are friends and family who are struggling at the moment with what they seem as unsolvable problems. So we just allow this light to extend out to them, just as we see it extending out to all of the leaders of this great country, knowing that this is also blessing the entire world. By doing that inner work, we are affecting the outer. That is our job. Truly as light workers, it's to hold the high watch. We know that this extends out to any and all who need a little assistance at the moment. We're grateful that we can be a part of the operation of enlightenment. So as we've done our part, we release this intention and this knowingness into the mind of God, knowing that it's already done. It is in perfect divine order. There is peace in the kingdom, and it begins with me and you. So we bring ourselves back to this 3D world, and we are grateful for each and every one of us here today. And say together, and so it is. And before I sit down, we're going to have Miss Judy doing special music again.
See if my Bluetooth accompanist works. No. This is another thing you can do in the face of adversity. Smile, though your heart is breaking. Smile, even though it's aching. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile, and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness, although a tear may be ever so near. That's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you smile. That's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you smile. Just smile.
Did you know that Amazon has a $15 million fund that they have to pay out every month? No, I didn't.
What a wonderful thing to share. What a wonderful thing to share. The joy of music and how it can uplift all of us. Every culture, every nation has music that is important to them, special to them, and unites them, and also does a great uplifting function. And we thank Judy for bringing that to us. So now it's time for our offering. We are going to have our wonderful, wonderful Jim bring the basket around as we collect the three-dimensional offerings. And as we acknowledge and receive our virtual and in-person gifts, we give great thanks for the offerings already given and those we will be receiving, because we know that giving and receiving are both part of the flow. We affirm that we are also part of that flow. We bless these gifts and know they are multiplied throughout our community. And I want to add that the gifts we receive and give are also the gifts Edward was talking about, of seeing ourselves as light workers, spreading the light in every way that we can, and seeing everyone as having the light. And if we can help light those lights and undim them, then we are doing a wonderful gift for this universe. Okay. Jim commented to me at another time, oh, you like to ad-lib a little when you do PA. I do. If it comes through me to do, I do. There are a number of folks who have contributed to the production of this service, and we are grateful for all of their service. We thank you for joining us today in Zoom land and here in the sanctuary. And lastly, stay around in the Zoom meeting after service to visit, or join us in the social hall. Oh, this was ad-libbing. It says, remember next week is daylight savings time. In this life, in this body, time and I have had a real complicated relationship. I am very glad for you that I'm not scheduled to be PA or speaker next week. So set your clocks ahead 1 hour. I need no help with people messing up time. Okay, so now we'll stand as you are able and read with me the benediction, followed by our congregational song. Spirit in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature and flow through us into the world, and so it is. And our piano happily will make joyful noise in a minute.